So welcome, Professor Svenja Sommer. You are one of the four winners of the 2009 Syntec Management Council prizes. Congratulations. And this prize you earned for your article, Managing Projects Under High Uncertainty. Could you tell us a little bit more about the findings of your research?
The main findings of our study is about that the effectiveness of the different management approaches depends critically on the environment you're facing. A lot of the textbooks on project management focus on traditional planning and project risk management, and that works very well if your environment is well understood, if you can identify the different risk factors. But if you enter a new terrain, say a new market or new technology, at that moment this becomes relatively ineffective. So if you have big gaps in your knowledge, you cannot identify the specific risks that you might face, we find that at that moment it increases your chances of success significantly if you use alternative methods such as parallel trials and trial and error learning.
And could you detail us a little bit more about these two different approaches?
Yeah, the main idea of parallel trials is that you develop different options. For example, if you have a very new technology which has a high risk associated with it, that you develop alternative approaches with different technologies to hedge this risk. The idea of trial and error learning is mainly about reducing the risks. So you would, for example, maybe run some experiments just to gather more information about the market rather than really advancing your project. And that approach is very much used in software development, where programmers start a program and at a very early stage with very little available of that program, show it to customers, get some feedback, again, iterate, improve the program, show it back to the customers, and that way you can very quickly learn about the real customer needs that the customers maybe cannot even specify themselves at the outset.
And why is it important for companies to decide which approach they're going to take from the beginning?
If you make that choice at the outset, you can put the right management systems into a place. And depending on the management approach you choose, you want to have different incentive systems, different monitoring systems. So if you make the choice at the outset, you can make adjustments to that. To give an example, if you look at the traditional monitoring of target fulfillment, that works very well if you have a traditional project where planning works well, you can foresee all the risk factors. But if you use a trial and error approach, that might become ineffective because the information you gather might actually change the target of your project itself.
So what do your results imply for business practices?
As a manager, you should ask yourself two sets of questions. One is how knowledgeable are you about the environment of your project? Do you have a good understanding of the factors that play a role, or do you have major gaps in knowledge? And the second set is how complex is the project, or how complex is the environment that you're facing? So for example, how many factors play a role, and do these factors interact in ways that makes it difficult for you to assess what the effect of your decisions is? Now, depending on the answer on those two questions, our research gives guidelines which management approach to use. So more traditional planning and risk management, or rather trial and error learning, or maybe parallel trials.
Thank you, Professor, for being with us today to enlighten us about the contents of your article. I'm looking forward to read it.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.